Thanks for tuning in and welcome to the Post Route Show. And now, here's your host, W. Earl Kitchings.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Post Route. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings. This program is dedicated to Black quarterbacks, and this is a show where we dive deep into conversations with those type of individuals, both past and present. This show is proudly brought to you by Quarterfi Back, the preeminent fraternity for Black quarterbacks and home of the prestigious BIP Memorial Trophy, the only national award that honors both the top Black HBCU quarterback and the top Black quarterback from high schools across the nation. We're always excited and thrilled to have you join us on Monday nights. So if you would, please do one or all of the following things. If you like what we're doing, support us by A, hitting the like button, B, subscribe to the channel, C, tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and D, go to our Instagram webpage, quarter_fi_back on Instagram, and see all our social media content. We have some extraordinary imagery, information, newsletters, motivational quotes. It's all there on Instagram. Join us live every Monday night here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more phenomenal conversations with our quarterbacks and sometimes our special guests. Well, as you know, we're coming to the close of the 2025 football season, regular season, as we get ready to prepare for playoffs. So let's jump right in and give you our Week 11 HBCU National Watch List of those gentlemen who have made some impact. Starting at number 15, Cameron Peters, senior from Alcorn State out of the SWAC. He is now jumping into number 15 at 1,589 yards and 13 touchdowns. At number 14, another SWAC product, Jalen Tolbert from Alcorn State, 1,727, and he's got 13 touchdowns. Correction, Peters is from Prairie View. I'll make that correction. Tolbert is from Alcorn. At number 13, William Watkins from South Carolina State out of the MEAC, 1,754, 12 touchdowns. They're coming down to a big battle with Delaware State in about a week or so. At number 12, R.J. Johnson III, a junior out of Florida A&M. He's at 1,787, 11 touchdowns. At number 11, Bryce Kuntz from Bluefield State out of the CIAA, 1,960 yards, 21 touchdowns. At number 10, Christian Peters from Arkansas Pine Bluff, the graduate student. He's now at 1,974 yards and 13 touchdowns. Number 9, Noah Biden absolutely did a phenomenal job for the Tigers of Edward Waters, but unfortunately their season has come to an end, but he is at 2,008 yards and 13 touchdowns. At number 9, Brinley Vanderver, the redshirt junior at Miles College, another SIAC quarterback, 2,031 yards and 10 touchdowns. At number 7, a guy who's been at the top before, but now he's down at number 7, Dalen Lee, the junior from Winston-Salem State, a CIAA guy, 2,048 yards, 23 touchdowns. At number 6, Caleb Jackson, a guy a lot of you probably don't know about, but he has been on our watch list for the last 4 to 5 weeks from West Virginia State out of the Mountain East Conference. And that's why you don't hear much about him, because he's in a conference that's totally off the radar. But once again, here at Quarterfi Back and the Post Route, we know where they are. 2,085 yards and 16 touchdowns. He had a phenomenal season. At number 5, Andrew Body from Alabama State at 2,112 yards and 24 touchdowns. He's leading everyone in touchdowns thrown this year. At number 4, finishing out his season, is Jameer Dismukes, the junior from Allen University, after they had a big win in the AMC Classic over Edward Waters, 23-27 and 17 touchdowns on the year. At number 3, Rasan Matthews, the redshirt freshman from Virginia State, finished his career this past weekend in a tough loss to Virginia Union. Man, if you don't know anything about Virginia Union and Virginia State rivalry, you need to ask somebody. 2361 is how he finishes the year, 20 touchdowns. At number 2, the guy who is taking the Bulls of Johnson C. Smith to the CIAA championship this weekend with 2,432 yards, our frat brother, Kelvin Durham, the senior, 2,432 yards and 20 touchdowns. And a guy who has surprised a lot of people in the SIAC, a junior, Miles Scott from Morehouse, finishing his season with 2,559 yards in the number 1 spot for now. We'll have to see if Kelvin Durham will be able to overtake him with that one additional game, but Scott with 18 touchdowns. So that concludes our national watch list of the top 15 HBCU quarterbacks. Now let's go to our quarterback of the week for HBCU quarterbacks. And here he is from Prairie View A&M University, Cameron Peters, the senior. 17 of 22, no interceptions, 394 yards, and 5 touchdowns as he is trying to get the Panthers of Prairie View into the SWAC, the SWAC championship game. They totally dismantled their foe Mississippi Valley State this past weekend by the score of 48-5, and he is looking to continue that by going to the SWAC championship. I think they've got one more game, but they are in the catbird seat right now. So our HBCU quarterback of the week, Cameron Peters, the senior from Prairie View A&M University. So we will see how this bears out, because for the SWAC, they've got 2 more games to go. The SIAC and the CIAA, they've got their championship games coming up, and we will see who will be in that final running. I will tell you now, the top 10 guys, really the top 5 guys, will probably be on the ballot for the Bilt Memorial Trophy to see who wins it amongst our black college quarterbacks. Well, let me tell you how important tonight's guest is. You've heard a lot from quarterbacks and their experience on the field and throwing the football and running plays and things of that nature. There's another side of this game that we call sports that is critically important, and it has to do with the guys you see sitting in front of the television screens on Saturday. Well, let's see now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Those are the guys who are what we call the broadcasters or the color analysts, or on radio, it's the play-by-play guy and the color analyst, or just in general, that face in the tube, in the screen that you are watching deliver commentary about games and things going on with games. Now, to know how to do that takes some practicing, and it requires some talent like anything else. My guest tonight specializes in teaching the art of communication through articulation, enunciation, and pronunciation. And I'm sure he's all smiles now because I said those 3 words just right. And you want to make sure that as a reporter, as a broadcaster, you are able to do those things correctly and properly. You want to be heard clearly, and you want to be heard properly. So let him tell you about who he is, and then after this clip, I'll bring on my guest for tonight's show.
But my true passion in life is to continue to teach kids and young adults public speaking and interview skills. It's an art, it's a skill that is slowly it's perishing. Kids are not using those skills as much anymore. So I developed a platform called Sports Told by Youth, where we interview student athletes and we teach them the basic skills of public speaking and interview skills. If you're looking to be on Sports Told by Youth, it's free, right? We have a platform, a studio here in the Atlanta area where we bring athletes in. We teach you a 45-minute class of some basic tenets of public speaking and interview skills. After we do that, we bring you in the studio and we allow you to practice those interview skills. We allow you to tell your story. So if you're interested in learning more about public speaking, interview skills, you can find us at Sports Told by Youth on all platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You can message us there, shoot us a DM. We'll get back to you, and we'd love to have you on the show to have you.
Please welcome to the Post Route my guest tonight, Coach Darius Griffin. Darius, welcome to the Post Route, my friend.
Earl, man, thanks for having me. Thanks for that great presentation or introduction. It's an honor and a privilege to sit with you tonight and talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, something that me and you share. As you said, when these athletes that you just spoke of on that amazing watch list take that helmet off, we want people to know who they are and they can articulate who they are and what they stand for. So it's an honor to be here tonight, Earl.
Well, I hope I got it right when I said enunciate and pronunciate, because I know those things are important. And, when we're talking about teaching those skills of communications, of how to enunciate and pronunciate, being able, sitting down and speaking clearly, concisely, and not having that kind of nasal sound when you're speaking, again, that requires some practice and some experience at doing that. So as we get ready to delve into what you specialize in, let's talk a little bit about what got you to this place that you're in now to help kids, youth, even adults. What helped you to get to where you are with your platform?
Earl, great question. The platform is all about teaching public speaking and interview skills, right? So what got me here was, funny story is that I was an athlete, football, basketball, baseball player. Things didn't work out for me the way I wanted to, right? I thought I was going off in college to play football. It didn't work out. I had a couple of options. My mom's like, hey, we can try to pay for it, or you can go into the military. So long story short, I went to the United States Marine Corps, and today is the Marine Corps birthday, so pretty cool to talk about that. But in the Marine Corps, Earl, I became what's called a Marine Corps recruiter, the individual that's responsible for going out on a daily basis and talking to young Americans about an enlistment inside the Marine Corps. So fast forward a little bit back, rewind back a little bit, before you become a recruiter, the military puts you through a training where they teach you effective communication skills. They put you on a platform for hours, and you practice articulating and selling the Marine Corps in front of your peers for hours, and you get on-hands professional skills. So I learned those skills in the Marine Corps, and I went out and I became a recruiter for the next 10 years, where on a daily basis, I was judged on how I sound, how I looked, and how good I can communicate myself to others. In the midst of that, Earl, and everybody watching, I was a football coach. My son was playing football. I was volunteering football, t-ball, baseball, you name it. And as me and you talked about, pre-show, when you're coaching, it's a presentation. It's an interview, right? You have to articulate rules, plays, structure. You have to be able to get that off to your players, your parents, in a layman's term way, and one that everybody can understand. So that was a transition for me from public speaking, learning how to do it, and then to being around those kids. And so, Earl, when I was around those kids, I started to realize as they got older, the rise of the cell phone, kids were not articulating or talking or communicating. Everything they typically did was through a cell phone. And so I saw a need, and I said, you know what? I've been taught all these skills in the Marine Corps, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later, some of those skills I attained and certifications I attained. I'm like, how can I give back? And so that's why the idea came. I used to make my players give speeches, talk in front of each other, because I wanted them to be leaders and to be able to communicate amongst their peers. And so the idea came that, hey, when we're done with this football thing, we're going to take it into a show where we teach athletes public speaking and interview skills, and I would use all the same skills I used in the military and was certified at to give to kids and adults on the outside. So that's how the show became Sports Told by Youth.
Well, Darius, how nervous were you in the Marines when they came and told you, we want you to go out and start being a speaker and recruiter? What was your first thought when they did that, and how did you feel? Because sometimes people blindside us with things that we're not ready for. And I guess in the military, you really didn't have an option to say, well, no, I'm not doing that. It's like kind of like an order, right?
Right. No, Earl, you're exactly right. You don't get an order in the Marine Corps. And I think that's one of the things that makes it cool. You have to do it, right? the thing that I was nervous, right? I told you pre-show, one of the things that got to me was, and this is respect to all my people from the South, Louisiana, I'm a bayou boy. I grew up on the bayou. If you ever saw the show a few years ago about the alligator people where they're out shooting alligators, I'm from that area, right? So I naturally, real quick, can sound Southern on you. My words are kind of mumbled. We have that dialect. I speak rather fast. And so when they told me that I would be a recruiter, I'm looking like, this guy, the guy that answers the phone and everyone asks me to repeat myself, you want me to go out and talk to the youth of America? So I was very nervous about it. It was a lot of anxiety about going up and speaking. And not only that, in the Marine Corps, it's always a contest. You're amongst your peers, you're being judged, you're being looked at. So, Earl, there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of emotions, a lot of fear wrapped around the fact that I would have to go and speak and articulate on my behalf. But in the Marine Corps, failure is not an option. And just like the athlete in me, the competitive juices kicked in. To quote the great Kobe Bryant, my desire for losing was greater than my fear of, I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. So I knew what I had to do to get my skills up to par.
When did you actually come to terms with knowing that, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I can do this pretty well. I'm with some training. How much training did you have to go through? And then once you found that you were good at it, how comfortable were you in going out and doing this recruitment speech?
Like everything else, Ern, that's a great question. I want everybody to listen to understand, just like running a route, just like shooting a basketball, hitting the ball out of the park, speaking is also a muscle. Speaking is also a perishable skill. So to your question, it took me hours, guys, Earl, of going through, of messing up, of what I like to call falling forward, right? Yeah. There were so many times I had to be critiqued and given evaluations. And it got to the point, because I naturally talk fast, I had to have stickies on when I'm practicing and recording myself, slow down, enunciate. So it was a lot of failing forward and hours of practice. I tell people now, I'm at the 10,000 hour mark of mastery because I did it so much. But in those early days, it was a lot of struggle, or it was a lot of falling on my face, repeating myself, doing it over again. No different than trying to understand or perfect a route concept, trying to understand or hit a pitch. It was the same correlation in sports to me as it was for public speaking. And so I had to work hard. I had to practice. I had to understand that it's not going to be perfect on the first time. But long as I was given 110%, not to sound like a coach, the effort would show up in my presentations, and I got very good at it. So after about 2 years of just going through it, Earl, I became very good. I became very comfortable speaking, where when I got up in front of people, the jitters went away. My hands weren't trembling. There were times, Earl, if you saw me in the back, my hands are trembling, I'm nervous. All those things exist early on in public speaking, and I was able to overcome them after about 2 years and a lot of hours of practice.
So in addition to being a recruiter and going out and doing the recruiting part, did it also entail you having to go out and delivering speeches, keynote speeches, motivational speeches to Marines around the country? I mean, what was that like? Because it's like, okay, the recruitment thing is one thing. That's kind of a one-on-one or even in a group. But now you want me to go speak to guys who are already Marines. You want me to motivate guys who are already Marines and get them engaged. What was that part like for you? Because now that you've gotten comfortable, did you have to do a lot of speech writing? Did they give you speeches? What was that part like?
It was, so two things, or I think two key moments that help paint the picture for you. When I was a recruiter, one of the things we'd had to do was on graduation season, we would have to go out and represent. So imagine walking out to a graduation audience, auditorium, 500, 1,000 family members and friends. And my job is, I am the speaker for the Marine Corps for that area, right? I represent the Marine Corps brand. So I had to write a 2, 3, 5 minute speech and deliver a persuasive speech to those individuals on behalf of the Marine Corps. So you want to talk about nerve-wracking. You want to talk about, people, you only have a few minutes to capture and maintain people's attention. So naturally, what I had going for me, the Marine Corps had the best uniform, but I still had to deliver verbally, right? They're only going to see me so much. I had to have substance and content to my speeches. So to your point, Earl, walking in those auditoriums, it was nerve-wracking, but through what I want people to hear is through repetition, through practice, through messing up, through a lot of recording, I got very comfortable. I got very comfortable in those environments, right? Understanding how to set up a presentation, meaning how do you maintain people's attention? Do you start off with humor? Do you start off with a quote? There are many ways that you can capture and gain your audience attention. Also knowing where you're from, Earl. For example, I was coming to Jacksonville. I want to understand about Jacksonville and the audience that maybe I can relate. Yes. I can say something or have something that relates to the Jacksonville audience that can captivate them in to let them see that I'm just a human as possible. And then the second part to your question is, after I was done with that, I had the unique opportunity. They thought I was pretty good at it. They said, hey, you're going to go back. We want you to go teach the Marine Corps recruiters. So not only were you out in America, we want you to go to the Marine Corps school, and we want you to stand on the platform for 8 weeks, and you're going to teach 300 Marines how to go out and recruit, how to be effective at communicating, teach them public speaking skills, and teach them selling skills. So the Marine Corps sent me to 3 months of selling. I wrote curriculum on public speaking. I wrote curriculum on presentation skills to Fortune 500 companies. I got to go be evaluated as a curriculum developer. So I understand how to write a curriculum, learning objectives. So I ran, Earl, the gauntlet of understanding how to teach students how to correctly, deliver a public speaking engagement, what needs to happen there. So a lot of hours, Earl, of public speaking training. And not only that, execution in front of audiences.
Well, two things come to mind. The first guy that inspired me, impressed me, that was wearing a uniform, he wasn't wearing a Marine uniform. But the first guy I saw from the military delivering an impactful speech and had kids in high school, I mean, they're hanging on every word. That doggone Montel Williams. Oh, my goodness. He came to my high school here in Jacksonville and delivered one day. And some kind of way they had it on TV here in Jacksonville where we could see it. And, man, when he said, "Mountain, get out my way," he had them kids, like, eating out of his hand. I was like, who is this guy that has this kind of power? Of course, you see the uniform. Of course, I see you in your Marine uniform, and I'm like, man, that brother looks sharp in that uniform. Those dress blues, boy, you're looking sharp. But can he speak?
Yes.
So when I saw Montel deliver like he did, I was just totally impressed. I bought into him. So that part definitely happens. But to know that you had to go beyond that. Now, in addition to you being the speaker, you now have to become the teacher. You now have to become the person that's teaching others how to do it effectively. And more importantly, doing it so it comes over so that people hear what you're saying and they can understand it and internalize it and make it work for them. So kudos to you for even going through this whole process, because I guarantee you, had you not put all of you in it, they probably been like, okay, Darius, okay, this really wasn't for you. But obviously it was, because, man, it seemed like you took to it like a fish in water and you hadn't looked back since.
Yeah, or I had, me and you talked about it, right? And I think anybody you've seen, I had so many great coaches. I was an athlete, so I was always drawn to great speakers. Like I said, I was one of those guys that when I heard a coach deliver a motivation speech, one of my favorite coaches, Chad Blanchard, the enthusiasm, the passion he showed when he gave a speech, I was always sitting on the edge of my seat, ready to run through a wall, as you explained about pride earlier, the example that you gave. So I saw those examples and they resonated with me. So those are some of the things that I tell kids now, that we all have a toolbox. So I was taking those things back then of enthusiasm, of pride, of compassion, and putting those in my toolbox so that one day when I became a speaker, I wanted to make sure I reach in and deliver those same type of intangible traits, because I know they matter when you're delivering a speech.
Now, Darius, you got to tell people how you get rid of that dialect. Being from Louisiana, it's like, okay, so You hear someone from New York, they got a different dialect. You hear somebody from Texas, they got a little twang. You hear somebody from any one of the states between Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Arkansas, they got a twang. But it's definitely not the same thing, because in Louisiana, y'all got your own thing.
Yes.
How long did it take for you to get that part kind of like in the background so people didn't hear that when you started speaking?
It took a while, and it's still, and if I'm being just honest and transparent, that Louisiana slip out right, whoop, like Chris, it'll come out right now, right? It's words that I just haven't been able to shake, right? I'm aware of them. There are certain words when I'm scripting the speech that I stay away from, because I know they can bring me right back down, not gonna say down, but bring me back to my roots, because it's just, I spent more years in Louisiana than I did. Now I'm starting to surpass that, but it was a lot of practice, or it was a lot of repetition and doing it over again and sounding. And like I tell kids, it's rep after rep after rep of sounding and making sure I sound right and being critical, having that critical evaluation of myself, not taking myself, too serious. That, hey, you need to, if you want to sound and you want to show up the right way. I was always one of the hardest critics on myself. I would ask my wife, who's probably watching here today, to listen to me, tell me how I sound, tell me what words to stay away from. But it was a lot of work to kind of shake my Southern roots. And Earl, let me tell you this: if you bring my Louisiana peep in here, it comes back like this. I'll get to we'll go real fast. It comes back real fast. But yes,
because of course it was a funny thing, man, when you could. Either when someone would come to New York, or you would go to New York and stay with your relatives or whatever, and come back home, people would say, "Oh, you talking all proper now." You're talking all proper. It's like, no, I'm talking correctly.
Yes.
So I can understand when you get inside that circle of your relatives and friends from Louisiana. Like I said, man, y'all have some words that you have to really listen to what is said, because like, what did he just say?
And not even just it's the word connection, how we put stuff together. We're going to make groceries, and it's stuff that we put together.
and not only that, Darius, but you guys spell go Geaux, not Go. So
Earl, that's still called
like, what? Let's go.
Let's go. I still spell it to that right now. Like I'm with friends, I spell go that way. Obviously, I'm an LSU grad and I love everything Louisiana, so I still spell go that way. Obviously, not in the professional setting, but amongst friends, I spell go that way.
Oh my goodness. Well, your time at LSU, man, had to be very interesting, because I guess just being it's almost like going to Texas, because I know those guys over in Texas, they got a lot of twanging going on over in Texas, man. But it fits who they are and what they do. And I'm sure Louisiana's the same way. You make me think about Justin Wilson when you tell me about speaking that Louisiana dialogue and dialect, man. It's just so, it's almost like you get mesmerized. You ever listen to people from the islands? They start speaking, man. You just have to be quiet, because you're trying to understand what the heck they're saying.
Yes.
So I can truly understand that. So now that you've made this full circle of the Marines grooming you, training you, getting you prepared, what did it take for you to say to yourself, I need to take this to another level and work with individuals who really need communication skills?
Earl, I always had a passion. I was able to see what the Marine Corps gave me was a social experiment, is what I always tell people. There's not many places you get a melting pot of individuals from around the world. I've met people from around the United States. I've met someone from 50. I've met someone from all 50 states, right? And so what they bring to the table was very unique. I also saw them struggle, and I saw through systematic training and a good program, and believing in them, giving them confidence and a platform to fall forward, as I said, what it can do for you. And so I realized quickly that if I can get a set of Marines to do this and understand these simple concepts, I can get kids to do this. And so when I was a youth football coach, I coached the kids the same ways like Marines, and parents would always be mesmerized how I got them to do certain things. And my coaching style was that of, it incorporated not just X's and O's, but we talked a lot about life and leadership and communication. Like these kids were very, very advanced. And so I realized in that moment that, man, if I can get this group to do it, I can touch kids from all over the country, all over the world with this skill set. And so that's what inspired me to start Sports Told by Youth. And we've had a heck of a run over a year and a half. So many kids that we've came in contact, parents are like, no way you'll get them to talk, no way you'll be able to do it. And when they sit in these black couches right here, or we do that PowerPoint class, and parents are elated to see the kids light up and speak and complete a sentence. One of the things I like to, one of my calling cards, Earl, is how I explain to the kids about when I ask you an open question, right? I need you to imagine that your words are coming across the screen in 3D or auto closed caption, right? So I don't want you just to tell me one word. I need you to make it 3D for me. And so to see kids go from yes, no, to maybe 2-3 word responses to full complete sentence, like kind of giving you a picture of their thoughts, it's pretty powerful to see. And so that's what has inspired us to keep going and giving us the gas and the wind beneath our sails to keep this thing going.
Well, Darius, I'm going to take a quick time out, man, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Sports Told by Youth, how that got started, how it's going, what kind of kids you got involved with, and just the whole thing about you becoming this guru of communication. So stay with me. I'm going to take this quick break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more with the coach of communications. That's what I'm going to call it.
I like it. I'll drink to that, Earl, some more.
Coach Darius Griffin. Stay with us. This is the Post Route, and we're happy to have you with us tonight. Stay with us. We're going to take this quick time out. As we always like to tell you, one of the things that we are really wanting everyone to do is, hey, because of what we are and who we are and what we do, the impetus for our show, the Post Route, the impetus for Quarter Five Back, all started with that right there, the book, The Forgotten QBs, the little-known history, facts, and statistics about Black quarterbacks who played the game of American college football. If you have not gotten it, and I know because we do this directly through myself, so if you want this copy of that book, you have to email me directly. I know it might be a grudging thing, or begrudging thing rather, to get on your email and send for this book, but this is what we want you to do. So join us, put your order in at quarter5back@yahoo.com, and you can get my book, The Forgotten QBs, $35 free shipping, and then you'll know what more people want to know about who some of the Black quarterbacks were between 1990 and 1903. This book is filled with a lot of information. If your library is missing this book, your library is empty. The Forgotten QBs by W. Earl Kitchings, myself, $35. Get your copy. Now, as we get ready for the high schools to wind down, let's go through our top 15 for high schools, our national watch list, and let you know who these young men are, because these are the rising stars. At number 15, Cornell Sweetwine out of Sky Ridge, Lehigh, Utah. Yeah, it's a brother out there in Utah spinning it. In number 14 position, Cedric Allen from Hot Springs, Arkansas at Hot Springs High. He's at 2,971 yards and 40 touchdowns. At number 13, Michael Hill from Maryville High School in Maryville, Indiana, 2,973 and 26 touchdowns. At number 12, a guy who's been on the list quite a bit this year, Taylor Lee, the junior from Pacifica High School, Oxnard, California, 2,983. And as you can see, these first four guys, they are grouped very tight together in their statistics. At number 11, Andre Adams out of Antioch High School in Antioch, Tennessee, 3,071 yards, 33 touchdowns. At number 10, Donovan Dixon, the senior from Cactus Shadows High School in Cave Creek, Arizona, 3,078 yards and 33 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, Donovan Dixon is the son of Chris Dixon, who played many years in the indoor and arena league football. So he's got the pedigree to be an outstanding quarterback. At number 9, Jaden Jefferson, the junior at Cathedral High School in Los Angeles, 32-23 in yardage, 36 touchdowns. At number 8, another Los Angeles product, Thaddeus, and I know Darius will love this, Thaddeus Barrow, the freshman from Hamilton High School out in LA, 32-30. His season is still going on, 32 touchdowns. He's in the playoffs. At number 7, Star Thomas, what a name. Orange County High School in Orange County, California, the sophomore, 3,332 yards, 27 touchdowns. At number 6, Darius' homeboy from Shreveport, Louisiana, who set the record last year. That was Peyton Houston from Evangel Christian out of Shreveport. Jelani Dipple at number 5 from Central East in Fresno at 33-62. Trey Taylor from Carmel High in Munderland, Illinois at 34-58, 37 touchdowns. Janaeus Hall from Lima, Ohio with 38-33 in yardage, 33 touchdowns. Deshaun Laporte, who was number 1 last week, 37-19, 52 touchdowns. And Keyshawn Henderson from Legacy High School in Spring, Texas. Those are our guys. Make some technical adjustments here that surprised me. Stay with us. This is the Post Route. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay, I'm back. All right, so those were our top 15. Again, Keyshawn Henderson from Legacy out in Spring, Texas at number 1. Deshaun Laporte, number 2. Janaeus Hall, number 3. Trey Taylor, 4. Jelani Dipple, 5. Peyton Houston, 6. Star Thomas, 7. Thaddeus Barrow at 8. Jaden Jefferson at 9. And to round out the top 10, Donovan Dixon out of Cactus Shadows. Now, we want to talk about the guys who have made our quarterbacks of the week for the high school level. Yes, we got 2 of them, and they're great ones. So here they are. The first one, young man from Central East High School in Fresno, California. Last week, he went 15 for 30, 397 yards, 7 touchdowns. Jelani Dipple, the junior from Central East. He led his team to the CIF Central Section, that's California Interscholastic Federation playoff, with the victory over Clove East 56-21. The game was tied at 21 at the half, and then he put up 28 points on 4 touchdowns in the third quarter. They advanced to take on Buchanan in the semifinals of Division I. Jelani is currently ranked 26th in the nation for high school quarterbacks by Max Prep. And then the other guy, I just told you about him. His dad is a former outstanding quarterback in the IFL and the AFL, Donovan Dixon, the junior, Cactus Shadows High in Cave Creek, Arizona. Last week, he went 22 for 32 with 1 interception, 346 yards, but he totaled 505 yards of total offense. That's because he broke them off for about 182 yards in rushing, 5 touchdowns passing, 2 rushing, gave him a total of 7 total offensive TDs. Donovan threw 3 touchdowns and helping the Falcons score 35 first quarter points and propel Cactus Shadows to a 56-35 victory over Tucson High Magnet School out there in Arizona in the playoffs. Donovan is currently ranked 63rd in the nation for high school quarterbacks by Max Prep. Let me just give you a sidebar to the Max Prep rankings. They probably have about 300 to 400 guys in their top rankings from high schools across the country. To be 63rd, man, you are up there in very esteemed and elite company. So those are our quarterbacks of the week for the high schools. Donovan Dixon from Cactus Shadows High in Cave Creek, Arizona, and Jelani Dipple from Central East High in Fresno, California. Congratulations to those young men. Now we're going to get back to my guest for tonight, the guru, the coach for communications, especially for our youth, Coach Darius Griffin. Darius, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Earl. That is some impressive numbers by Jelani and Mr. Dixon. I think it was Jelani, Earl. Like every pass he threw was a touchdown. He was 15 to 30.
It seemed like it. And last year, if you had been with me, man, that young man that I said was your homeboy from Shreveport, Peyton Houston, 800 yards plus in one game last year. And he was just a 10th grader last year when he did that.
That school, Earl, when I grew up, and it probably still is, Evangel is always one of the top schools in Louisiana. They're in the state.
Right?
They're in the state every year. They were just a powerhouse.
Wow.
And they still are, I'm sure.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking, they're a Christian academy. They just kind of popped up, but they're that beast over there in Louisiana.
Yes, up north, them in Ruston, Louisiana. There's a lot of LSU players. ULL come from that area.
Okay. Well, if anybody knows about it, I know you do. So now let's talk about sports told by youth. Your brainchild, your baby, something that you decided to bring to life. Talk about that and what it's doing for these young people in this day and time.
Earl, it's something I think everybody should get behind. I think it's something that everybody can win in. I often tell families and kids when they come and sign up for the show, this isn't my show. This is our show, right? You get to be a part. When you come sit down and you learn the basic skills of public speaking and communication, I use them now. So I tell them, after you've done your interview, now I would love to use you for a show. I would love to, have you on, because I'm always getting invited to people always want me to come out and do like a college game day setup, right? Because we have the sports desk behind me. We have a full setup where we can bring you like a college game day atmosphere. And so once I train the kids, because it's not me, Earl, I don't want you to see me. I want you to see, like we talked about, like the Jeremiah 1 and 5. We want you to see my daughter, Kyla, who you've seen in some of the episodes. So that's it. We want to teach young athletes, male and female, how to present themselves, how to communicate themselves, how to sit and hold a conversation, how to ask interview questions. And so we go over all the basics, the same basics that Toastmasters is teaching, Fortune 500 companies are teaching. I run and bring this through those kids, through the curriculum that I developed. One of the first things I teach them, Earl, is understanding open and closed question, right? Someone asks you, especially for athletes, 9 times out of 10, everything a reporter asks you or someone is going to ask you, it's going to be an open question, meaning they want you to elaborate. They want to hear from you how you see the play. How do you see your team? How do you describe what happened? And so we spend a lot of time developing, understanding, one, I need to identify that I was just asked an open question. And this is an opportunity for me to elaborate, for me to talk about myself, for me to display my understanding of what the interviewer or someone is asking us. So we do a lot of work around open and closed questions, right? Kids want to literally give you quick answers. Yes, no, I think so. So we do a lot of work on, nope, that's not good enough. And I treat them just like I would treat them on the football field. Nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. Say it again. I give them tidbits. I actually write out scripts for them to read. Try this opening, right? You always want to thank my mother, thank my father for being here today. I give them some what I call alley hoops to get them started. Because what I tell anybody that's listening, Earl, the first 10 to 15 seconds is where the most critical part is. If you can get past that, you can get past those nerves, then the rest of it is smooth sailing. And so we do a lot of work in the beginning of getting through those nerves, right? What do you do with your hands? What happens when your voice starts cracking? Your eye contact. Are you looking directly at the person that you're speaking to? Your gestures. So we go over a lot of that stuff at Sports Told by Youth that again, Earl, this is stuff that Toastmasters is selling. This is stuff that I work in a Fortune 500 company, and they send people. They spend a large amount of money to send presenters and leaders to these classes where I'm bringing it to 8-year-olds, for free, and just to see them develop. So that's what Sports Show by Youth is about, giving back.
So would another critical part of what you're teaching them be the basics of reading, knowing how to write, knowing how to write down questions to ask, knowing how to do your homework so that you have the information to be able to have a conversation, so that it's not just something off the top of your head, and teaching them the critical importance of the communications part? Because when we're talking about our young people being able to ask questions, to be able to articulate a question, to be able to, I've been so disappointed at times in being in press conferences and hearing professional reporters ask, I know you're probably going to agree with this, ask a dumb question. It's like, of all the questions you could ask that coach or that player, and I'm going to give the example of probably the one that everybody knows, when they ask Allen Iverson about something that dealt with practice, and he just broke them out and said, practice? You're asking me about practice? But when I hear these professionals ask questions that just are so irrelevant or make no sense, and I get it, sensationalism sells, and they're trying to pull them in to give an answer that they can just go on with to drive the sales of watching their show or reading their newspapers. But it just infuriates me to the point, it's like, why would you ask a question that makes no sense?
Yeah, I agree, and that practice question still is iconic, right? Because it was one of those, it didn't land well, right? As we all know,
right?
But yes, Earl, I spend a lot of time with them understanding, and even me as the teacher and the interviewer, sometimes I understand the role that I play. The questions and how I set them up, how I tailor them, dictates the response that I get. And I tell kids, when you're sitting there, because one thing we do is after you get interviewed, I will bring that same kid back. Or for example, if you were a guest on our show, we interviewed you, you went through the training. Now I challenge you to come back and you play the role of interviewer, right? And so you have to prepare to interview me. You have to prepare the questions on me, doing your research, what type of thought-provoking, open questions that you want to ask me to make me, one, comfortable, to make me, two, want to elaborate. And so we go through all the importance of all those questions and answering techniques, right? We talk about the importance of how do you answer what we call tough questions, removing the sting from tough questions. Maybe it's something that you don't want to touch on, religion or politics. We talk about all those things. We also talk about, and we make it setting appropriate, age appropriate, right? So if your team just lost, do you want to throw your team under the bus? We talk about crafting responses that work for your team, taking the onus off who messed up and putting it on us as a team and working to get better. And so we model and we demonstrate those things over and over again to give them a toolbox of responses, of questions, of seeing it go both ways, being the interviewer and the person being interviewed as well.
Do you encourage them to watch? I know listening to radio is probably not something that they would even find entertaining, but do you encourage them to watch those sports programming shows, games, and listen, watch, critique, figure out what the broadcasters and color analysts are doing, how their cross communication is going, and how they're saying this and saying, because it's amazing to hear some of these people in these positions spit out facts and statistics and all this information. And it's like, how do they do that? Well, as you might hear them say, well, we talked to the coach before the game, or we talked to them in that production meeting or whatever. That's where all that preparation comes, so that when they get in front of the TV, it's very smooth. Is that something that has become a part of what you're doing? Are you working on that?
Yes, we bring them through it. One of the things I often do is I make them tell me, give me a good example of someone that you think is a good presenter, a good reporter, a good public speaker. And I have them tell me who that is. And then we write down what makes that person good to you, because I want to assess, just what they're seeing, what sticks out to them.
Yeah.
And then also tell them, give me a good example of someone you think is not that good of a presenter, or someone you think has opportunities to grow. And so we'll walk through both of those individuals to see the good and the bad, and we'll talk about what they can take away from them. But we also talk about, I send them a lot of examples of athletes that I thought did a good job, especially doing football. We get a lot of press conferences, post gamers. And so I'll clip the good ones and I'll say, tell me what you see here. Tell me what went well. I won't tell them my thoughts. Tell me what you see went well here from the question that was asked, and then that response that was given. And it amazes me, Earl, to see when these kids start thinking and putting their thinking hats on, and they pick it up very fast, that while he did articulate a very good response, he talked about his teammate, he talked about his coaches, he talked about his preparation, and they start to pick those things up. So we walk the dog on from start to finish on what a good example looks like. And then if it isn't, how can we get better? And then I would make them demo that. Hey, let me see you demo what you heard, or give me your version of, if I asked you the same question, how you would respond to it. So we do a lot of practical application, not just me talking to them, but then me explaining it, teaching it, and then now they have to demo exactly what they heard, and I'll give them some instruction to get better in that instance.
Well, what you're putting together, man, is a phenomenal thing. It makes me think about this particular aspect. Is preparing these young people to embrace the curriculum at the collegiate level, or going into journalism, broadcasting, things like. Do you see that as being a part of how you will now be a source for these schools? Like they recruit a player to come there for a sport, they will now reach out to you for students they can provide with scholarships to be in their journalism programs. Because when we think about some of the iconic journalists, and we spoke about this earlier, I've seen some very significant guys. When I think about sports journalists, Brian Gumbel would probably be one of the first guys that I would think of. His brother was a phenomenal Greg, Stuart Scott. But in 2025, and we spoke about this, Mike Tirico is the GOAT.
Absolutely.
So are you thinking of how you're working these kids to understand, hey, I'm preparing you to get you a scholarship to go to college?
I tell them that all the time. This is a public speaking and communication is a skill that's not going anywhere. I mean, there are stats on them. There are employers, 75% of the employers think your public speaking and presentation skills are just as important as your technical skills. To be a leader, you have to be able to communicate. I talked to them at Litany to understand one ankle injury in the pros, you might be in the broadcasting booth. So having those skills, being able to articulate yourself, understanding the value of communication, and those that understand that and it's not hard, it's just through some repetition, they get it. And we talk about it all the time, Earl, because I want them to understand that there's more ways to be around the sport. I mean, you talked about it post-show. Everybody's not going to make it to the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. Yep. But there are so many ways you can make it as a broadcaster, as in entertainment, and be around the sport that you love by doing something that you've done all your life, which is communicating, having conversations. We just need to get the framework together and make sure it's a consistent flow that you can articulate yourself and add some humor and entertainment value. And those kids will be right where they need to be at the high school level, the collegiate level.
Well, I think as you're working on that portion, to additionally point out to them, hey, here are some of the top journalism schools in the nation. Here are some of the top HBCU journalism schools in the nation. Put yourself in a situation where you can go to one of those schools, because as I'm looking at the guys who doing the broadcasting, the analysts, when you look at Sundays and you've got the five guys really doing the breakdowns of what's going on. Those guys didn't go to school for journalism and broadcasting. They were athletes, but because they were at the top of their game, they got pulled in to be the color guy or the analyst. And because but like I look at Michael Strahan had to teach himself how to become a person to articulate. So did my man who won the Heisman that's on College Game Day every Saturday morning. These guys have to work at it. So you are on the cutting edge, man, of you might as well go ahead and start having your own school of communications under what you're doing, because you are prepping them to prepare them to be the next wave of journalists that are coming along. I just kind of see that happening.
Earl, I agree. You know it. You've been around it. You've had the opportunity to understand the value of it. That's what I'm trying to do now. Get the word out. Get the importance of this out. It's so much. It's something that no matter, it's not gonna. It's kind of like a stock. It's not gonna lose its value. You being able to communicate, it will take you somewhere. Like there's going to be an opportunity for you if you can communicate, and so that's what we're hoping to do with these athletes. I'm getting a sweater made now that says public speaking is cool. You know, we want to get you back to having fun and speaking. I have these kids in here sometimes, Earl, and we'll have all the cameras going. We got 4 cameras in here, all the microphones, and I'll just be recording. They don't know it, but to see them when they're off camera, just sitting and talking about sports and articulating, it's a beautiful thing to sit there and watch them. They already have the skills. We just polish them up a little bit and make them comfortable in their own skin. But you're right. We're trying to push the envelope on public speaking and articulating and making these kids better.
Well, I applaud you, my friend, for doing what you're doing. It's needed. Like what I'm doing, you were given a mission. You were given a ministry. You were given something that only you could do. It was given to you. So you continue to embrace sports told by youth. And of course, being a journalism and broadcaster and the things like that I've done, sports information directors, anytime I can be of help. And I will say that there's an organization called HBCU Pro Sports Media. It is an organization for Black sports journalists that you can join. That I think if you plug into them and those members and find out that you've got what you got going on, that it can be a two-way street, man, that we're grooming that next wave, because there are a lot of people out there. One of my friends, his name is Ty Miller. He used to be doing the Sheridan broadcasting of Black football, but now he's got his own thing. But we just need to know who's out there and how to connect with you. So I'm looking forward to connecting you with these people.
Please do, Earl. And anybody out there watching this studio, if you guys can't see it, or if you go online and look at it, there's a top of the line 4-camera setup. There's Shure microphones. There's everything from Rodecaster Pros to run and develop a show. We give you state-of-the-art equipment to practice and to be live and record yourselves. If you're out there and you want to learn public speaking, if you want to start your own show or podcast, Sports Told by Youth is a place you can do it for free. The only requirement is that you come with a good attitude, you give effort, and you're ready to learn. So anybody out there watching, please call us, contact us. We want to help you out with your Sports Told by Youth. Want to help you out with your communication here at Sports Told by Youth.
All right. Well, Darius, we only got a few more minutes, so let me do what I love to do every game, every show. Anytime we have a guest, and most of them have been quarterbacks, we welcome them to the fraternity of Black quarterbacks. So tonight, I would like to welcome you as an honorary member, of the brotherhood called Quarterback Back, man, and let you know that you are now a member of our organization and what we do. Congratulations, my brother.
Appreciate it. It's an honor, man, to sit here with you, to understand the legacy, what you're building, the spotlight, the things you're doing with Quarterback Back. It's an honor to bestow that privilege. So thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me be an honorary member.
I appreciate it, man. So we got to go. But again, thanks so much for being on the show tonight. And we're going to chop it up a little bit more off camera once this is over. But my guest tonight has been Coach Darius Griffin, sports told by youth. Check him out. But until next Monday night, as we always say here on the Post Route, hey, go deep and go for the bomb. Take care, everybody. See you next Monday night.